What's going on? What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Progressive Action TV show. We had a couple of hiccups just now. Now I got to pay close attention to my phone. I want to make sure everything is right. Let me tell y'all what I did. I end up updating some stuff because I haven't went live in a long time. I end up updating some stuff, and I normally don't update anything before I go live. I end up updating some stuff, and now I don't know what's going on. But I'm going to make this happen some way, somehow. We're going to make this happen some way, somehow. So let me know in the comments right now. You see, I had on my big headphone. I got to listen to what's going on. Let me know in the comments right now. How do I sound? If you got my phone number, text me. Let me know, how do I sound? Because it sounds good in my headphones right now. Sounds great. Sounds great. Right? Now, let me check for myself, man. I got to check for myself because this stuff gets a little crazy. Let me see. Let me check for myself. Let's see what's going on over here. All right, it sounds better. It sounds better. We could get through this. We could get through this. We definitely could get through this. So look, a lot of people don't know what I've been through during my union journey. I know y'all hear me talk about a lot of things, and for a lot of people, they don't really know what's really going on. I spoke about a situation where I got my legs broke, where I got terminated. Just recently, you heard me talk about being marginalized in the union, so on and so forth. And, it's been very tough for me in this space because, I've been doing a lot to try to do what's best for the membership. I went through so much. I know people that probably would have said, F this, quit, never look back. They probably would have went to jail and tried to seriously hurt somebody. But, I always believed that God put me in this position for a bigger purpose. And I ain't want to just throw it away on some clowns, because as soon as you do that, people would be like, oh, yo, why you did that? You had a good thing going on. And we're going to keep that good thing going on. So before we jump into all this stuff, I need you guys to reshare the live, because this is going to be a very, very, very important show. And this is only part one. We're going to get the part two, part three, and I'm going to give you guys the directions, how the path forward on what we got to do to get our union back. Right? The first thing I want to start off with is I want to talk about Richie Davis, because I already know in their mind they go be like, we go blame this on Richie, because Richie can't defend himself. Richie signed an NDA where he can't talk, and he can't defend himself on some of this stuff. And I know that they go try to make it go to him, but I'm gonna show you guys what's the real deal, what's really happening, and the true story. And I dare for any one of them to say that this is not the truth. The internet is open for everybody. I want them to get on the internet and speak their piece so I could debunk that, right? So I've been a dissident, or they consider me the dissident faction of the Union Progressive Action, Tremel Thompson, and that's cool. That's fine. We are looking out for the members. We are looking out for the members. So for those who don't know, I started Transit in 2013. I started Progressive Action in 2015. Everybody was saying, oh, the internet is not going to work. It's not going to do this. Not only did it work, but we have the biggest labor platform in New York City, probably the country right now. Right? And they didn't gravitate towards it. Everybody did. Not only the people we go talk about tonight, but everybody. And now here we are today with the biggest platform, labor platform, not only in New York City, I think in the country right now. So let's start this off. Let's get into Richie Davis, and I want to take you guys to, I'm gonna say 2023, 2024. Because for those who don't know, Richie Davis, he was forced to resign because he was brought up on some charges, and I'm gonna bring those charges up. This is stuff that you guys never seen before. Y'all never seen the paperwork to this stuff before, and I'm going to expose it. I had this paperwork for a long time. They actually sent me this paperwork before Richie was actually removed. So it means someone internally wanted to give me the paperwork in an attempt for me to do a show and expose it. But now I'm gonna expose it because now I got a bigger, I could see things from a bird's eye view as to what really happened here and how it was the union leadership fault. We talking about Tony Utano, who Richie Davis considered his daddy. We talking about John Samuelson, the international president. We're talking about Dennis Engel, who I believe is the real president and shot caller of Local 100, and everything with us. We talking about the contracts. We talking about bringing charges on people. We talking about everything. And the current president or figurehead, John Chiarello. Now I know they gonna say, you know, I got a union to run. I can't watch this. Let me tell you something about these guys. These guys watch everything that I do on the internet. Every single last thing that they do. Now, what the difference between Tremel Thompson then and Tremel Thompson now is that my voice is amplified. Everybody's listening. Politicians, MTA executives, the governor, the mayor, everybody is watching what's going on. Their family members is watching. Right? Their family members are watching. And that's what make this scary for them, is because they can't keep their corruptness and only inside of that union hall. So let's jump straight into it. Back in, I would say, I don't even know the date of this, but I would say like 2023. Richie Davis was accused of saying something very disrespectful to his ex-girlfriend, Nicole Hecker. Right? And she made a complaint, right? And I want to just show you how corrupt the system is, how they have so-called neutral arbitrators that's supposed to be neutral, but really working for whoever paid them, whether that's the MTA or the union, right? So let me see this up. You guys could be able to see what it says on the screen. This is the actual findings from the neutral arbitrator when Richie Davis said to his ex-girlfriend, whom he wasn't with anymore. He said this in front of two people, who is Harriet Goodrich. That's her name, Harriet Goodrich. And what's the dude name from Training Upgrade? Charles Jenkins, right? Richie Davis said this, right? That his ex-girlfriend is smart and she could type 100 words per minute. And I think he said she got wet vagina or something like that, right? Now, the arbitrator at that time said that this isolated action does not meet the standard for establishing a hostile work environment. Further, Mr. Davis' action was influenced by his past personal relationship with you and the casualness of the off-the-record discussion in which you both were engaged in. Now, I just want to make this clear. I want to make this clear. Let me bring this into perspective. Him and Nicole wasn't together anymore. He brought her into a meeting with two other people. He says she's smart, she got good vagina, and she could type 100 words per minute in front of other people. The arbitrator that they hired to investigate this said that it was okay for Richie Davis to do this because they had a past prior relationship. This is the same, I think her name is let me see what her name is again. Kavakis or something like that. But she's the arbitrator right now at 2 Broadway. she ruled in favor of the abuser, Richie Davis. Now, if the union would have done what they were supposed to do back then, which was say, we got to remove you, the union wouldn't be in grave danger right now. I know you guys thinking, well, Tramel, why are you bringing this up? Because Richie Davis was removed for same and similar action in January 2025, 1 month into his official presidency in which he won. Right? Now, with that situation, and I'm going to show you guys what's up with that on the screen, is that Tony Utano knew of Richie Davis' action. Everybody knew who Richie Davis was or is, right? Richie was forced to resign, like I said, last January. And I'm going to show you guys that investigative report. I'm going to show you how crazy this union administration is. But they will elevate you if they could control you. That's a fact. They knew who Richie Davis was, though. Let me go to the that report. Let's read that report together. Let me put that on the screen. It's important that we go examine all of these documents. We're gonna examine all these documents and go through every little piece of it. So Richard Davis, this is the investigation that they did, right? No, matter of fact, this ain't even the investigation. Let me go to the investigation. This is the investigation right here. Summary of investigation. A lot of you guys didn't see this before, and I'm gonna read this to you because I'm gonna make this picture whole because everything is connected, and I'm gonna show you how sick this administration is. So serious allegations were brought forth to the Transport Workers Union of America, that they talking about the international, not the local, by a female employee and member of Transport Workers Union Local 100 regarding alleged inappropriate sexual behavior, unwelcome sexual comments, abuse of power, and threats by TWU Local 100 President Richard Davis. Due to the serious nature of the allegations, threats of retaliation, and her raised concern for her safety, she will be referred to as Jane Doe or Miss Doe in this report. And I won't even identify her either. I'm going to respect the victim. During the investigation, the investigator reviewed the TWU Constitution, Local 100 Employee Handbook, and Employee Statement. TWU staff member Cassandra Gilbert, who the employee reported the allegations to, and the employee herself were interviewed for several hours. This report is based on this investigation. Now, in the interviews, Ms. Doe was consistent, highly credible, and expressed what appeared to be genuine and immediate fear for her safety, lost her TWU Local 100 job and her bargaining unit job as well. Now, this is where it gets spicy, people. Listen closely. According to Ms. Doe, she was subjected to several unwanted sexual comments from Mr. Davis, who was her boss and union leader. Beginning in approximately 2022, shortly after she was hired with TWU Local 100, the comments included, but were not limited to, comments regarding women being powerful because they can control a man just by using their pussy. Ms. Doe alleged that Mr. Davis told her that a woman can stick her finger in her pussy and put it in a man's mouth and he will lick it and do whatever she wants. Ms. Doe stated that she told Mr. Davis he would get in trouble for speaking like that, but he continued to make sexual comments to her. According to Ms. Doe, Mr. Davis would request several one-on-one meetings with her often before work hours. Those meetings he would speak about work. He also bring up personal issues and continue to make sexual comments. Ms. Doe recalled going to Mr. Davis' office one morning for a meeting and seeing a picture of herself sitting on his desk from the day they met. When she asked why he had a picture of her, he claimed someone printed it out and put it on his desk. She was surprised. Hold on a second, y'all. Let me turn up the volume a little bit. She was surprised and now believes it was part of Mr. Davis' strategy and game to get her to have sexual contact with him. Now, listen to this, people, because this is where it gets more insane. When asked if she had a sexual relationship with Mr. Davis, Ms. Doe broke down crying and had to stop to compose herself. She then credibly detailed several instances where, as a subordinate employee, she had sex with Mr. Davis from approximately January 2023 to summer 2023. Ms. Doe alleged in January 2023, she, Mr. Davis, and other TWU Local 100 members were in Houston to celebrate the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. During this work trip, Mr. Davis initiated sex with her for the first time. He requested that she come to his room to pack for him. When she said no, he then asked her to come and talk to him while he packed. Ms. Doe agreed and went to his hotel room, where Mr. Davis asked her to talk to him about what had happened to her in the past. When she began crying, he kissed her and initiated sex. According to Ms. Doe, after they returned to New York, she told Mr. Davis that what happened in Texas would stay in Texas, as it was wrong and would not happen again. It sounds like what happened in Vegas stays in Vegas, but that's another story. Despite that, Ms. Doe recalled 2 times Mr. Davis initiated sex with her in her office during working hours at TWU Local 100. Ms. Doe alleged that Mr. Davis entered her office where she worked alone and which required a key card for entry. Ms. Doe had previously requested that Mr. Davis knock prior to entering her office, and he told her that he goes anywhere he wants. On 2 different occasions in 2023, Mr. Davis entered Ms. Doe's office and initiated sexual contact. Ms. Doe indicated that she felt pressured and did not want to have sex, but Mr. Davis persuaded her and told her not to worry about it. One occurrence during working hours also involved Mr. Davis receiving oral sex from his subordinate employee in her office. Ms. Doe also recalled 2 additional sexual encounters between them during work trips in 2023, one to Washington, D.C., and one to Puerto Rico. According to Ms. Doe, she became Mr. Davis' sex toy. She reported that he repeatedly pursued her, and she feels that she was manipulated by his game. She expressed that she felt if she did not have sex with Mr. Davis and do what he wanted, her TWU Local 100 and bargaining unit jobs would be in jeopardy and she would be terminated. According to Ms. Doe, Mr. Davis played on this fear, reportedly telling her that she needed the flexibility of her TWU Local 100 job for her children. Now, I want to pull back on this for a second. So when Nicole Hecker complained of similar conduct, it was swept under the rug. Not only was it swept under the rug, people, this is what was reported in the AM New York. A TWU Local 100 rep said that Davis will not be resigning from his position and claims the president still enjoys support of his union office. And who are those union officers? Tony Utano, Dennis Single, John Chiarello, John Samuelson. Now, I know you guys are thinking, well, why he wasn't removed when he said that spicy stuff to Nicole, disrespectful stuff to Nicole, but he was removed when the Jane Doe came forward. This is the part they don't want you to hear, people. They don't want you to hear this part right here, right? They do not want you to hear this part right here. The difference between, and the time difference between what he did to Nicole and what he did to the Jane Doe was, who did he start a beef with in the union in between that time? Who did he start a beef with? Who could he possibly have started a beef with, where this time, after numerous years of allegations of inappropriateness, what changed this time? Him and John Samuelson bumped heads. That's what changed this time. It is alleged that John Samuelson wanted Richie Davis to sign off on something with the buses, them school buses. And Richie was like, no, I'm the president. And they clashed. And when you clash against John Samuelson, let me put Samuelson picture on the screen. When you clash against John Samuelson, it's the end of your union career. It's the end of your union career. He'll do this to anybody, friend or foe. It's the end of your union career. So it was okay when he did it to Nicole, a black woman. But it became not okay once he allegedly had a beef with John Samuelson over not signing something. Now, if you notice in that report, the situation was reported to the International, right? Cassandra Gilbert, it was reported to the International. Why was it reported to the International and not somebody inside the local? It wasn't because Richie Davis was president. This could have been reported to anybody. It's because the victim knew of the go along, get along game. And somebody probably said that, or she probably knew that Richie and John allegedly had some type of friction. And she wanted revenge or justice. She wanted to make Richie feel like he made her feel that she would lose her job if she wouldn't comply, allegedly, to this report. But the fact of the matter is that Richie was removed this time. And you just got to think. Everybody knew it was emails floating around of Richie, right? Emails. But the go along, get along gang said that we have to keep it moving when it came to Nicole. But now Samuelson, because Samuelson is the ringleader of the go along, get along game. Samuelson controls Utano. He controls Dinner Single. He controls Chiarello. And what he says goes. Right? Now, I know y'all seen in Trump, you said racism. How can it be racism if they promoted a black guy? Let me tell y'all something. They only go promote black guys that do this. Y'all hear that? That's tap dancing. The only black folk or Hispanic folk they're going to voluntarily promote in this union are the ones who's going to tap dance for them. But Richie wasn't all for the tap dancing because before me and Richie had a full official falling out, we met in August 2022 with Richie and one of his guys named Fred. He retired now, bus operator. And Richie was like, I want to make this union black. These guys have been running the union for too long and they don't care for black folk. And I was like, wow, Richie is telling me that. Very interesting. And he felt the way about how the white folks was running the union. And I guess he tap danced for them long enough until once he got in where he wanted, he was like, I'm not going to sit there and play their game. Now, I think that his main problem was with Samuelson because during our meeting back then, he made it known that he was not fond of Samuelson. But he viewed Tony Utano as a daddy figure to him. He literally said that to me. Right? So we see that the BS is tolerated until it's not tolerated when you go after or you make John Samuelson upset. Now, I'm going to lead into my assault, and I'm gonna get this. Y'all ain't gonna want to go to sleep tonight. That's all I'm gonna say. Y'all not gonna want to go to sleep tonight. I'm gonna segue into me getting my leg broke, right? Because a lot of people don't know that story. So there was a mass membership meeting in January of 2023, and prior to that mass membership meeting, I had a conversation with Richie Davis back in January, and it was on text, right? And it was about Richie Davis being a black leader in this environment, right? And telling him that he need to have strong black folks around him, because if you don't got a strong team around you, we know how us black folks are. It's easy for us to criticize another black person. I get more criticism than John Chiarello. I got more criticism than Tony Utano. I got more criticism than John Samuelson. And I was getting this criticism as a conductor because it's easier. We just wired so weird. Why is it so easy for us to attack each other, but afraid to hold somebody else accountable? Right? So I told Richie that in December 2022. January 2023, we have the mass membership meeting at the Sheraton Hotel. Richie gets on stage and Richie reads my text message. Now, he never said who it was, but he reads my text message. I'm showing people next to me like, yo, look what he reading. They're like, oh, snap. And then he threatened me from on top of the stage, but he never said my name. We ain't gonna tolerate this. We're gonna do this, do that. Few weeks later, maybe like 3 weeks later, 2 weeks later, I get accosted by the former VP, Canela Gomez, and Brian Davis inside a break room that nobody goes to. Now, I'm not going to get into the particulars of what transpired because I got 2 pending lawsuits regarding that. But this is what happened to me. This was the result of when I got jumped at Bedford Park. My leg got broken in 2 places. I had metal scaffolding outside of my leg. I had to relearn how to walk again. I could not play with my son for a long time. I went through a very, 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 very difficult time during this. Very difficult, right? And let me just duplicate that. Give me 1 second. I got to put this on the screen because I speak around a lot of this stuff. It's hard for me. It's difficult for me to talk about it, to be honest with you, right? And what was amazing out of this, right? See, the union, I remember when Canela Gomez first became VP and he tried to shut down Coney Island Yard. He called me. He said, yo, man, you won't believe it. BK, who's a labor relations officer, he definitely has something to do with me losing my job for a fact. He said, yo, man, BK called Chiarello and told Chiarello that I better stop. He better stop me now. How the hell can management call a union officer? I think he was the secretary treasurer at the time, John Chiarello, and tell a vice president to get in line? How can that be? Right? Now, I'm not going to get too much into what the MTA did, right? when I got jumped, I got arrested. Gomez got arrested. The other guy never got arrested, right? Um, when it was time for arbitration, when it was time for arbitration, um, for Gomez arbitration, right? Because they had to do something, right? Now I know I speak to a lot of MTA um, executives, high level executives, right? And they all they speak highly of BK, and I tell them that that's not my experience of BK. BK is a former prosecutor out of Staten Island, right? Criminal prosecutor. I know dozens of lawyers, right? And plus, I critically think. If you want somebody to have the least amount of exposure to get fired, you will put on the weakest case ever, right? And like I said, I don't want to get too much into the weeds of that. But in when they called me down there, they told me to come down to 2 Broadway, right? I didn't know what they was telling me to come down there for, right? I end up bringing some stuff anyway because I was thinking like, oh, you know what? The MTA is taking my case serious and, they not going to let this slide. But they had a surprise arbitration. They tell me to come down there at 4 p.m., right? When do they tell? I'm a VP right now. They not telling nobody to come down to 2 Broadway at 4 p.m. for no arbitration. This is a fact, right? And then not only that, one of the officers told me who was around during that time said, Tramel, the Gomez arbitration wasn't on the calendar. What? So it was a secret arbitration, right? Now people in the MTA got fired for much less. You push and you shove, you throw punches, you're getting fired. During that arbitration, who was there during that arbitration to help and show Gomez moral support? Dennis Engel, who do not do discipline arbitrations, especially for RTO, right? My department. Gomez was a part of RTO. And John Chiarello. The same John Chiarello who Gomez had accused was very cool with BK, right? Now, Gomez ended up not getting fired, right? And when Gomez didn't get fired, they brought me up on charges for a fight that I was a victim to. I got my leg broken, as y'all can see right there in 2 places. They didn't have a scratch on them. Not one scratch. And they job got saved because of what I believe is the corruption between the MTA, the union, and arbitrators. How can he not get fired? They tried to make this language, and they pulled up one of my Facebook posts. He said that he was going to be confrontational. So what? John Samuelson said he was going to be confrontational towards the MTA also. Just because I said I'm going to be confrontational, now what I meant was I'm going to be confrontational on the internet, is that I'm going to expose y'all, right? They use that to twist this whole thing into I was the aggressor. But what I didn't know during Gomez arbitration is that when I got my packet, when they brought me up on charges, one of the guys said there was a witness there that I didn't even know exists. I don't know who he is today. But there's a statement from a witness that said if he say what he saw, Gomez would not have a job no more. Now, if the MTA was about justice, why didn't they call this witness in? I seen them roll out the red carpet. They send Ubers for witnesses against us, right? They'll feed you lunch. They'll do everything for why didn't you guys call a witness in my case? Why didn't y'all call that guy that said that if he say what he saw, Gomez won't have a job no more? And on his G2, he said that he was afraid for his safety. Not because I did anything wrong, was because Gomez did what he did. Now, Tramel, why are you bringing this up? Why you saying this? Because I'm going to show you guys how corrupt this administration is, right? How Dennis Engel operates. So while I'm going through what I'm going through, one of the members wrote up internal union charges to get Gomez removed from his position. Guess what happened to those charges, people? Take a wild guess. What happened to those charges? They never was brought forth. Those charges was never brought forth. Can you imagine that? Those charges was never brought forth internally. And guess whose job is it to recommend the charges as a vice? The real president, Local 100, Dennis Engel, the general counsel. Dennis, why didn't you bring forth those charges? Why? Oh, I know what you gonna say. Because Richie Davis told me not to. Right. Richie Davis told you not to, right? So let me ask you this. Now I want you guys to really let this marinate in right now. There was no charges brought for Gomez breaking my leg. It was swept up under the rug, right? It was swept up under the rug. But they have no problem bringing me up on charges for the most frivolous things, right? Let's examine some of these charges that they brought up on me, right? So let me bring this up on the screen. Let me bring this up on for you. One of the charges they brought me up on. Now I got it out of order because I'm just focusing on the charges. May 26, 2026. Faded, but this is how they gave it to me. That I was basically soliciting information from the Department of Buses regarding the safety condition of the bus fleet. Do y'all remember that video I did exposing the buses? Right? Y'all remember that video I did exposing the buses? And me exposing the buses, that's a safety issue, right? And the people of New York City really appreciated that. The politicians really appreciate that. But they brought me up on charges for, according to them, soliciting for information from the Department of Buses. They also said the video clearly purports to be a statement of Local 100 policy attacking TA President Dimitri Richlow when there was no approval from the union leadership to distribute the material he posted. Right? Brought me up on charges for that. Let me go back to that. That's one thing me up on for. Let me go to the next thing me brought me up charges for. Let me make bigger. The next thing they brought me up on charges for was 1 second. Let me see what here. Hold on, make this a little bit more bigger. Why did it do? Let me fix this for you guys. Let me see. Let me get this. Oh, here we go. This is another thing they brought me up. I'm bringing what I feel are formal charges against Tramel Thompson under the TWU Constitution and bylaws. I believe his actions as VP has violated the oath of office. But let me just get to it. I posted a video on March 4th, 2025 about a pregnant TO being sent for drug alcohol testing without providing all facts surrounding the circumstance. I'm doing what the member asked me to do. That's a member from my department. She asked me, she wanted to expose it or whatever the case is. How you gonna bring me up on charges for that? I inserted myself to another department's affairs behalf on 2 BOs about MAC issues. These bus operators were held out of work and they wasn't getting help from their reps, and they wanted to embarrass not the reps, because I never talked about the reps, but the MTA, and it worked. They got back to work. I exceeded my departmental responsibilities on 2 occasions by invoking Local 100's name with the United States HHS to address MAC complaints. Picture that. All the problems that we got with the MAC, they was mad that I went to the federal government to try to resolve it, right? And he involved himself in MOW grievances over parking tickets. Transit workers were getting parking tickets on doing transit work, and it was going against their license. And I seen some members, they wanted me to do a video to highlight what they was going through. And I was brought up on charges for that. Like, this is insane. And it's the last thing that they brought me charges for. Expand this. This one go blow y'all right here. Yeah. This one blow y'all mind. Let me get. Now, Carlos, he's the what's his title? Carlos is the financial secretary treasurer, right? He said, look at this language. He says, I wish to press charges against Local 100 member Tremel Thompson. Press charges. Press charges. Like, what? Like, this is how these guys think. They really think they management. They want to press charges. But this is what they pressing, according to Carlos Bernabeu. They pressing charges on me for having a private bowling party, right? And this is the bylaw selection that they did against me, right? All collection of fund members by union officers and staff are subject to rules set by the executive board. This shall apply to collections for retirement dinners, charities, benevolent organizations, or to provide assistance to a member or members. Where do they see bowling party or private event? Where do they see that? Where that? But guess what? This guy right here on the screen, Dennis Engel, recommended that all those charges be sent to trial. Right. And the E-board, we gonna touch on the E-board in a second because y'all need to know how the E-board really operates. The E-board sent those charges to trial. Why? Why did the E-board send those charges to trial? Right? Because this is what they do. The tap dance. That's what they do. They tap dance for John Chiarello, Dennis Engel, John Samuelson, and Tony Utano. If the E-board members knew the bylaws, they would have voted no. But because they more worried about their release time than upholding the bylaws, this is what happens, the corruption internally, right? You got one girl on the E-board, boyfriend beat up the wife. She's so vocal. Wait till I get to her. Because I got the police report. Yeah, I got the police report. Yeah. When you was sneaky dicking him, when he was beating up his wife, you was sneaking dicking him. Yeah, I got the police report. Right. Matter of fact, I got y'all E-board. You know, I don't really blame y'all too much. I really don't, because if people are weak, right? This is how do I expect them to operate, right? And like I said, they cool. They cool to hang out with. I like being around some of them, but they not stand up people. That's the fact. To all the members out there, ask your e-board members, ask your e-board representatives, what happened? Ask them, am I lying? And if they say that I'm lying, let me know, and I'll do the exposing, right? So let's think about this for a second, guys. Canelo Gomez don't have charges brought up on him for breaking a member's leg as a, right? They oh no, we ain't bringing him up on charges for that. But I get brought up on charges for representing you guys. Is that corruption? Is this how this union is functioning? Does that even make sense? Now, like I said with Richie, they go say, oh, Richie said. I thought that the president don't control what happens on the e-board. And if Richie was telling General Counsel that Dennis Single don't bring forth those charges, then aren't the members suffering, Eric Logel? Then we have a conversation about that. We had a conversation about that, right? So, Eric, let me ask you, why wasn't those charges brought forth? Maybe you can answer that. Because it's obvious that the president got a lot of leeway in this. And John Chiarello, he has power because you want to know why? With those charges about that Jesse bought about me going to HHS and all this other stuff, he said, Tramel, I guess when I was in their good graces, those charges is not going to see the day of light. And if you notice, they was filed in like April 2025. They just scheduled it for trial recently because they trying to remove me. We go get into that a little later. But these people, they play a dirty, dirty, dirty game. And they don't care about you. We about to get into that right now. They don't care about you. You know who they care about? They care about themselves, they friends. They care about the women that they fucking, that they release. Ain't that right? Ain't that right? And they care about keeping John Samuelson happy, every single last one of them, right? But let me show you, because I like to, put receipts on the screen. I want to show you who they care about more than you. And I dare for them to say something different, right? Do y'all hear? Let me see what should I start with? What should I start with here? Let's start with the horse carriage. Let's start with this one. They throwing a rally for the horse carriages. And I heard, let me, y'all see this here, right? Local 100 members came together this morning at City Hall for a rally before the hours-long hearing on a bill that's trying to ban the horse carriage industry. Y'all heard about having rally after rally after rally after rally over the horses. And I'm going to get a little bit deeper in it because this is where the racist stuff go come in at, right? It was funny because I seen somebody online say, somebody, Jano Lieber went to one of the depots, I think in the Bronx, and somebody asked Jano, "Yay, what's up with our contract?" He said, "Yo, it looks like your union is fighting about horses right now." And he's right. They care more about those horses than they care about you. Let's show this real quick. Let's put this on this screen. Show you how much about those horses. I took the sound off because it had some music. I ain't want to. But this is them at City Hall with all these flyers, posters, trying to save the horse carriage industry. Look at them. Look at them. Deep. Mob deep out there. Mob deep for the carriage. Now I want to make it clear about these horses, right? Because I'm gonna break all this down. This is this. I'm telling you, this gets more spicy, right? So I'm not gonna argue. Do the horse carriage industry need union representation? I'm not gonna argue that. What I am going to argue is the race game that they play defending the horse carriages. See, they trying to come with this narrative. Let me get this on the screen. They come with this narrative. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, they try to come with this narrative that the horses, they is immigrant workers and covert racist, and you immigrants, who they think they go put in the pot to defend those immigrants, a black face or a white face? Let me know in the comments. Yeah, you guess right. They're going to put a black face. When you hear immigrants, you know what? Immigrants black. Yeah, immigrants black. Let me tell you something about those immigrants over there, right? Just because you're an immigrant doesn't mean that you're poor or you don't have money. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know too many immigrants who own horses, let alone a horse carriage and a medallion. It's very expensive to take care of a dog every month. Do you have any idea the amount of money it costs to take care of a horse every month? We talking about to house it. We talking about to feed it. We talking about vets. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars, right? So is the union really representing here? Are they really representing the drivers? Or they representing the horse carriage owners? Does the horse owners would be like managers, wouldn't it? Because if you represent the horse carriage drivers, but some of the drivers or some of the let me check something out real quick. 1, 2, 1. Let me see something. Did my sound go off? Oh, when I bring things on the screen, the static comes back. All right. So with the horses, they representing the horse carriage. So I'm confused how this works. Can you represent the horse carriage driver and own at the same time? How can you do that? How can you do that? Right? But let me tell you how serious they are about these horses. Let me tell you how serious these horses. They're so serious about these horses that they launched a million. Look at this. They launched 1 million campaign against Eric Adams. Push. Wait, hold on. Are y'all seeing this? Union launches vicious 1 million ad campaign against Eric Adams' push for nitty horse carriage. How crazy is that? How crazy? How they launch a $1 million ad campaign for horses, but didn't launch not one ad, $1 million ad to get us a good contract. How did they do that? How do they do that? Does that make sense? They spending and they spent more money after that. They spend more money after that. How does that work? How does that work? How can that work? How does that work? Tell me how that. Just checking something out on my own. How does that work? Can somebody tell me? So they spending all that money for the horses. But look, remember I said immigrants, right? Immigrants. So they go put black faces there. Let's look at the black faces. Let's check out the black faces.
Councilman Sean Abreu shamelessly used his goddaughter as a political prop in a social media video, trying to put a happy face on an ugly truth. The carriage horse ban that he's promoting will kill the livelihoods of about 150 immigrant carriage industry drivers and the owners. These workers and their families would be financially wiped out. The ban bill has no guaranteed employment, no compensation for drivers who spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on city-issued carriage medallions, no funding to ensure the 200 carriage horses get the same level of care that they do now, including 2 annual physicals and stables that are staffed around the clock. There's no guarantee that the evicted carriage horses won't wind up at a slaughter auction, as thousands of horses do every year, because they do not have owners financially able or willing to care for them. Abreu calls this a better future for workers and horses. Most New Yorkers would call it a recipe for disaster.
We are contract right now, and they're making about horses. Making videos about horses. Did you actually see our contract? Did y'all see our contract video? I'm down this video, y'all. Let me play this contract video for you guys. Let's get into it.
Brothers and sisters, this is your President, John Chiarello. I bring you greetings ahead of the July 4th weekend, marking the 250th anniversary.
Did you hear how he said that? Good evening. Like, you read from a script. This is the president of the, by the way. You got to read from a script. Let's how crazy this sounds.
John Chiarello. I bring you greetings ahead of the July.
Hold on.
Brothers and sisters, this is your President, John Chiarello.
Brothers and sisters, like he's not even sure of his name. It sounds like he's not even sure of his name. Let's examine this.
I bring you greetings ahead of the July 4th weekend, marking the 250th anniversary of the ratification of the Declaration of Independence. We're in a war of our own. We've been without a contract for 2 months, and I bring you a long-awaited update.
So we was out of contract for 2 months, and this is the first update that he gave the members. Now, he only gave the members this update because a couple of days before I said that I'm not allowed to talk about the contract because they threatened me to bring me up on charges about that too. They want to control the whole narrative. But 2 months without a contract, and this is the first time you hear from the president. Let's continue.
Brace yourselves, because this is not pretty. For those of you who have been asking for a
John, you want to know what's not pretty? You reading from a teleprompter when you're supposed to know, like off the top of your, you're supposed to know this stuff like the back of your hand, so to speak, right? What's the sense of saying you guys got all this time and all this experience? You read from a prompt from things that should be second to you.
Contract. The reason why we don't have one is because the MTA keeps offering us unacceptable garbage. Yesterday, they gave it to us in writing. Raises below the rate of inflation and abysmal givebacks. They want to raise healthcare contributions for current members by 50% and increase total healthcare costs for new members to 10%, driving yet another wedge between the current members and the new ones. They want to increase the charge for emergency room visits and play doctor with our current prescription plans, making it harder for you to get the medications you need. They want to strip pick rights for members who are on comp and link maintainer bonus payments to productivity targets. The list goes.
I'm sorry, I can't watch all that BS. I can't. That's embarrassing. John, I read that we had a relationship, right? But you guys are you guys are the worst of the worst. Do I that you hate me? No. But you loyal to who you to. And you're not loyal to the member. You're loyal to John Samuelson. Sam is your handler. Dennis Engel is your handler. And Utano is your handler. And it was interesting was that you are one of the most least liked people in this union. And I hear that all the time about you. Now, my interactions with you, I didn't think that you was a bad guy, but you're not a good guy either. Because you're dishonest. You don't keep your word as a man. And you're easy to manipulate and control. This is a fact. How the hell can you be the president of a union and you reading from a teleprompter and your eyes is big like this? Because you having a problem seeing what's going on. You look fucking spooked. But I have a question to ask. How y'all using blacks for these horses? Y'all put the black girl too. And I'm going to make this clear. I'm not throwing no shots at nobody over there. I'm not throwing no notes at nobody. You know, people is going to do what they do, right? They going to do what they do, right? They not going to know. It comes with release time. Nobody don't want what was happening with me to them. I get it. You know, everybody ain't built for it. I get it. But Tiarello, you call the shots there, right? You call the shots. Why are you only using black faces for that? Why? Can you answer that? Black. Let me tell y'all something about my as far as being black in this union. They're not going to elevate you, uplift you, unless you do this for them. They not elevating black folks in this union unless they tap dancing for them. That's the only way. That's the only way. I know it was echoing because I had myself on the screen twice. But that's the only way that they are uplifting you in this union is if you tap dancing them. They would never raise somebody up like me who don't play those games. I don't play games. I'm for the members. I don't give about no release time. And let me tell you how they operate, right? I'm terminated from the MTA, which means that if they tried to get rid of me like they did Kiapua, he goes back to the train. They got rid of JP recently, right? He went back to his bus. They was figuring that they could keep me in line and keep me in check because, you know what, guys? Trammell don't got nothing else to go to. He's going to be forced to listen to us. He has no choice. This is how they think, right? I could go to any department buses, MOW, CED, stations. Everybody know who I am, and most of the members I come in contact with tell me they love my work. And why don't I do more for the department? The reason why I don't do more for the department is because you know how many, let me something. You know times Chiarello, Tony Utano set me down. Let me put the screen. You know how many times they set me down and tried to get me to get rid of progressive action? I remember Tony Utano said to me, Roger ran up under New Directions, and when he became president, he didn't use New Directions no more. Well, guess what, Tony Utano? Like I told you, Roger didn't start New Directions. I progressive action. And what they do is that they always trying to take you away from your base. They did it with me and Eric Logel. Eric, that's the fucking truth. They did it with Gomez. Gomez, that's the truth. Right? They remind me of men. And I'm not saying that they do this because I'm not saying that they beat up women. But they remind me of men who beat up women and tell them women, you don't need your friends. You only need me. Don't worry about what your friends say. You only need me. This is the type of ideology that they have. They want to isolate you, impose their will on you, because when it'd be weird, right? Because when they sit you down, I mean, I don't know how they envision themselves. I would think that they look in the mirror and they flabby and sick. They not even in shape. But when they look in the mirror, they think that they Hulkamania. You know what I mean? Like, they try to sit you down and they think they aura is so strong. Like, I'll be literally laughing. Cause I'll be like, yo, what are they doing here? Know what I'm saying? What are they doing here? They've been actually undermining me my entire VP. The only reason I ain't blow up earlier, because I wanted to put the members first. I'm over here thinking, you know what, this is gonna blow over. Once they see that I ain't, because I haven't been talking about them. This is the longest they went without me saying anything about them. Those days are over, right? They've been undermining me from day one. I got the least amount. I represent the second biggest department. And I have the least amount of reps than any officer in this department. Any officer. Ask any one of my reps, am I lying or not? Every vice president has say or control who they put on their safety walks. Every vice president before me, Canella, Eric, and Kia, had control of their safety walks. All of a sudden, I become VP. I don't got control of my safety walks. And then the constant sitting down. I tried to do a financial show for my followers, right? See, and the thing is that with them, this union stuff is their life. They was nobodies. They don't play sports. They not cool. They dress funny. They awkward. So I'm not that, right? So I was trying to put together a financial for you guys, right? For my followers, whether it's transit workers, whether it's regular people on the street. And I was doing it with Prudential. Guess what Dennis Engle did? Dennis Engle decided to send Prudential a letter saying that I'm not authorized to do no show with them. Dennis, who the fuck you think you is? Who you think you are? So I can't educate my followers, which consist of mostly black folk, on education, on finances, because I'm not kissing y'all ass. You know, another thing that I did, set me down for, I created a union masterclass, a digital union masterclass. You know what they did? They threatened to bring me up on charges and remove me from my position if I released my masterclass that I did on my own time, that was shot and recorded and produced before I became VP, to teach you guys my version of unionism. And it's dope. It's online. It's interactive. It's videos. You take a test and you get a certificate at the end of the course. I'm teaching you guys my way of unionism. They stopped that. They was telling certain politicians who was coming back telling me, you know, your union don't want me doing no interviews with you. They told me not to do no interviews with you. They set me down because I did an interview with Bruce Blakeman asking him about his campaign. Dennis Engel, John Chiarello, and Alexander Kemp set me down, played the video, and asked me and told me that I am not to talk to Bruce Blakeman, and I'm not to speak about Kathy Hochul ever. They set me down for that. And I dare for somebody to say that that's a lie. I dare. Right? They have been trying to, I ain't gonna say trying, they have been marginalizing me my whole entire VP since I became VP. This is how they operate, right? Now, what's funny is this, right? Now, this is go blow y'all mind what I'm gonna show you how weak this union administration really is, right? So when they brought me up on one of the charges on the e-board, I told them, I made it clear. I said, look, you guys control everything inside of this mechanism. I don't know why I'm echoing right now. Let me take this off the screen. Let me see something. Let me see something real quick. I have no idea why I'm echoing. Give me 1 second, guys. I don't know why I said I was echoing, but I don't see it now. So, wait, let me check one more thing. Hold on 1 second. All right. I don't know why they saying I'm echoing. It's probably certain clips. YouTube sound fine. So, they have been marginalizing me this whole entire time. This whole entire time. And like I was saying, during that e-board meeting, right, when they passed some more charges on me, right, because they got the e-board, they got the e-board eating out the palm of their hand right here, right. I told them straight up, I said, y'all control, I'm not even go act like it's not true. They control everything in their ecosystem. They control the e-board. They control the charges. They control every mechanism of Local 100. I would not take that away from them. But one thing they do not control is the court of public opinion, in which Tremel Thompson has a lot of influence over there, right? They don't even control the AFL-CIO. They thought that they had the city council in check. Half of the city council turned their back on them, right? After promoting them everywhere, right? So now the union automatically want to have a fight with Kathy Hochul, right? And they like, we not endorsing Kathy Hochul. Kathy Hochul is the enemy because, let me put this guy face back on the screen. Because John Samuelson, right? John Samuelson thinks that he's King Kong. He really thinks he's that guy. Really thinks he's that guy, right? So he like, we're not supporting Kathy Hochul after parading Hochul. Matter of fact, let me show y'all something real quick. Y'all remember this?
What our state needs today and for the next 4 years. So without further ado, I am thrilled to announce that TWU Local 100 wholeheartedly endorses Kathy Hochul for governor of New York State.
Y'all remember that? When they was doing this up until a few months ago, right? So John Samuelson said that we're not supporting Kathy Hochul. You know, the union, the local was going to follow that. So John Samuelson was trying to, test his political capital with the AFL-CIO. So the AFL-CIO, let me see if he's got that. He sent this letter. Let me bring it on the screen for you guys. He sent this letter to the AFL-CIO. Now, I heard when I put these pictures on the screen, it sounds kind of like staticky. So y'all gonna have to deal with me on this. But a matter of fact, I ain't even gonna keep that on the screen. He sent this letter to the AFL-CIO, right? And that letter to the AFL-CIO was saying, look, we think that we don't want you to support Kathy Hochul, right? We don't want you to support Kathy Hochul. And guess what the AFL-CIO did? They supported Kathy Hochul. Y'all see that? So not only does the union don't have no political clout because they spent all their political clout with this horse carriage fight. They made everybody upset with this horse carriage fight. They also don't have no clout within their own AFL-CIO organization. Mario Salento, somebody who they invite to the to our international meetings in Vegas, to our mass membership meetings, said, we're supporting Kathy Hochul. And you know what that did to me? That showed me how weak Local 100 really is. That showed me that everything has an expiration date. That showed me that their only power is really attacking their own members. The MTA don't respect the union. And let's take for an example what's happening here. The union got this thing called 19As, right? Where they go into bus depots. They could basically take a bus out of service. They could go to a bus depot and destroy service whichever way they wish, right? Management started going around taking bus operators out of service for sleeping on the property, right? And the union don't have no answer to that. The union, instead of spending $1 million on horses campaigns to fight against Eric Adams and Julie Menon and the other guys that they got, look on TV. They got stuff playing on TV. Why aren't y'all spending this money to fight against the Taylor law? Because y'all afraid to strike the way that it's set up now. Oh, we may lose. We go lose dues checkoffs. We go lose dues checkoff. First of all, why you got the MTA collecting the union money? Why they got to know how much money is in our war chest? If you're enemy, and if you saying the MTA is the enemy, why do you have the enemy collecting the union dues? You want to know why? Because if you left it up to us, the members, they probably won't pay it. So it's easier to work with the enemy to collect the money for you. And you're afraid to take action on the MTA because that's all Y'all worried about, y'all care about. And y'all afraid to go to jail for the, y'all talk all this fly, so, oh, I don't mind going to jail for 10 days. Man, y'all scared to hell. Y'all scared to death to step foot inside a prison. Even if you know you go come out in 10 days, you scared to death. Y'all scared of your own damn shadows. Y'all are morally corrupt. Just look at, let's think about this for a second, people. You brought me up on charges for a bowling party. You brought me up on charges for whistleblowing about buses. And let me say this, by the way, the buses I was talking about was not even New York City Transit. It was Staten Island. That's in my lawsuit. Oh, by the way, for y'all don't know, I filed a federal lawsuit against the union and the MTA. A RICO, a civil RICO against the union and the MTA. Shout out to my attorney, Jimmy Wagner. Shout out to my other attorney, Rich Sullivan. Right? We are not playing games with these people. Now, I'm going to be honest. If they would have just left me alone, let me run wild, going at the MTA, and treating me with respect, as men, we could have came to the table and spoke about this. In fact, one of Chiarello handlers was, not handlers, one of his guys, let me just be respectful, one of his guys was going back and forth with me, and I said, look, if Chiarello want to have a conversation with me prior to me doing the show, this was Friday, like let's sit down and let's do this, because I don't want to do this. I don't really want to do this. I want to see this union thrive. I want to see this union fight. If you notice, I don't even wear no union stuff anymore because they have become an embarrassment. This is not what Mike Quill built. It's nowhere near it. And this is what's gonna be interesting about their downfall, is that this is gonna be a domino effect. This is going to affect other unions. What they doing to me is going to affect other unions. Do you know how many other unions would love to have someone like me, with a following like me, with a voice like mine? These John Chiarello and them has become so petty. When I go speak to the new people that's coming in the MTA, or I speak at rally, they hear how much applause I get. They hear the people recognize my work and support my work. Why you think they don't post a lot of stuff with me? Because they don't want to show who's really getting the support out here, who the members really support. They don't want to see that. They don't want you guys to see that. They are like they've been excluding me from videos. I don't get asked to attend certain things. I'm the only vice president that don't have a spot in the international. I guarantee you, if I was white doing this work, they would consider me a god. I'll take that back, because they don't like nobody who go against them, AKA JP. They gonna probably try to use JP and say, look, we removed a vice president before we attempted to move Trammell. Nah, y'all don't like anybody who go against y'all, no matter what race they are. And the only thing black people is good for in this union is to do your bidding. Like, would you believe that they got mostly black people going out there heckling Kathy Hochul? The same thing they did when they was doing the bidding for Cuomo, and Cuomo was running against Cynthia Nixon, and they sent a whole bunch of black folk. How come it's easy to find black folk to go chase after politicians when you don't like them. But it's hard to find black folk to elevate them into this company. And I'm talking about elevate them outside of just being a face, just symbolism. Outside of, you know what? We're going to use this immigration narrative for the horse carriages. So you know what, Kemp, you go out there. Shah, you go out there. No disrespect to them. They just doing what they doing. They ain't calling the shots. How like this is the what they call that? What kind of politics is that? But they playing politics, racial politics. How come the highest a black woman could go in this union under y'all leadership is recording secretary? Why is that? Why is that? You guys have protected people who is allegedly, and I'm gonna say allegedly, putting cameras inside of bathrooms. Y'all protect people who family is saying that they allegedly molested a 13-year-old girl. And they not saying this quietly. They saying this on the internet. And I also got the recording of that conversation. But y'all want to remove me for a bowling party, whistleblowing on buses, and using my federal connections for a better result for the members. Now, let me tell you something else, right? Because they go blame this on Richie Davis too. I don't think that you guys really know about this too, right? The person who broke my leg, or one of them, it was two people I got jumped. Canelo Gomez, I ran against him for VP. He got smoked. He ain't even come in second place. He came in third place. He got smoked, right? Guess what the union did? Now they go blame Richie, but guess what the union did? They made him a loser in the election that showed that the members didn't want him. In fact, everybody, most of the people who lost on a slate, they still kept him around, you know, in an attempt to undermine me. But I want y'all to think about this. Let me know what y'all think in the comments about this, right? So Canelo lost his election. Davis lost his election. That's the other guy. Brian Davis is the other guy who jumped me, right? How did they get union release jobs when they lost? You made Canelo the communications director. How? And then you moved him to the mailroom. Now, anybody knows the mailroom is, if you work in a corporation, that's a bottom of the line job, right? Now, I don't mess with Canelo at all. But Chiarello, why did you send that black man to the mailroom? But when all the white folk lost, you gave them deputy, chief of staff jobs. You gave them other positions. Now, technically, Canelo should have went back to the road, right? Why you sent that? Yeah, and like I said, I make this clear. I don't mess with Canelo at all. But why did you send him to the mailroom? Why you send that black man to the mailroom? Why? But to back that up a little bit, one has to think, why did they even put him in communications at first? Is that a way to continue to pay him? Chiarella, why, when you found out, or when it was told to you, because I told it to you, that I got some disturbing news, I ain't even gonna get into that. I'm gonna save that for part 2 or another time. because that's a real sensitive topic. But are you guys paying these guys for what they did to me? I'm just asking the question. I'm not saying that you are. Just asking the question. Because it makes no sense. It makes no sense. And then another thing I got this on the screen. I hope I didn't get. Oh yeah, let me put this on the screen. Because this don't make no sense to me either. 2025, there's one vice president to each department. It's one vice president to each department. Let me see. Where is this at? Look at Canelo Gomez's name right there. Why is he listed as a vice president in 2025? LM2s. This is the LM2s. For those who don't know, the LM2s is a document to show how the unions spend their money, how much officers make, how much they pay the lawyers, and I almost forgot. Got to get into the lawyer part. But why is Gomez listed as a vice president making $126,000? How does that work? How does that work? Now, I noticed that Gomez and Utano have a very weird relationship. Now, I used to trash Utano. Bad. Utano was mad at me for a long time. He's still mad at me. He plays in my face with Gomez, right? But him and Gomez got a weird relationship. Tony, you mind answering that? You mind answering that, Tony? Because this one is going to backfire on you. I promise you. This one is going to backfire on you. Now, speaking of the LM2s, let me bring this guy, Dennis Engel, back on the screen. Can anybody take a wild guess how much Callahan, O'Hara, and Mills made off of the union last year? About time the LM2s was filed, the union paid his firm $800,000. $800,000, right? And they owed him, I think, $157,000. So it's like $957,000 in 2025. They paid the general counsel law firm in which he's a managing partner of, Dennis Engel. All of that money to do what? To do what? Because I don't see our livelihoods getting any better. And for those who don't know, Dennis Engel negotiated our past couple of poor contracts. Yes, Dennis Engel was the general counsel for the The Medicare Advantage COVID contract. Right? He was the attorney who, I'm not even going to say that attorney name, but he said Dennis Engel can't fight himself out of a wet paper bag, which I believe is true. Dennis Engel is going to be the reason why this union is taken over by the International, because they can't afford another lawsuit. This is a fact, right? Dennis Engel has been giving the union the worst advice ever. Just look at the charges that he recommended to go to trial regarding me. If he can't read the bylaws, what make you think he could read a damn contract? Dennis Engel, let me ask you this question. How did we get Medicare Advantage? Since you like to talk a lot, how did we get Medicare Advantage? Dennis Engel, how during the contract we had from COVID We didn't get hazard pay. We didn't get the raises that we truly deserve, because while everybody was social distancing, while the world, not only New York City, the world stopped, when other agencies, teachers, fire department, NYPD, nurses, they had to get vaccinated in order for them to work. We was left out there to die. Transit workers lost more employees than any one agency in America. Dennis Engel, why didn't you do anything about that? Why didn't I see $1 million campaign for that? Why didn't I see any lawsuits regarding that? Because they didn't give us masks on time. The only reason that the workers got masks because I exposed that they had those masks in the warehouse. Dennis Engel, you seem to got an answer for everything that I do. It's clear that you don't like me. Chiarello told me that himself. That he told you to take some barbs out of the letters that you be sending. Stop sounding so crazy when it comes to me. Why your law firm getting paid so much money and we seeing little to no results? Dennis Single? Oh, and let me tell you something. Since you said I threatened you the last time. Remember that digital truck that I put in front of, Richie Davis' house? That made him feel real uncomfortable? Well, guess what one coming next? Huntington, Long Island? Yeah. It's not a threat. I'm just going to put a digital truck in front of your house saying some flowery things about you. You control the e-board. You decide if charges go to trial. In my world, I decide where digital trucks go. Huntington, Long Island, 100 Crossways, your office, I ain't playing around. Y'all not playing with me. I'm not playing with y'all. Now, this could have been handled very simple. We could have had a talk as men, but y'all don't know how to calibrate yourselves. Y'all think that I was going to go out like how Kia went out? Y'all think I'm going to go out like how JP went out? Y'all made Richie sign an NDA. I'm quite sure that he didn't want to sign that NDA at that time, but I'll get you now. He have some regrets. And like I said, he didn't get removed because of the horrible things that was described in that letter. He got removed because he had a beef with John Samuelson, allegedly. Y'all don't care about women. Y'all cared about women after Nicole Hecker made her complaint. Y'all would have took action on him. Instead, y'all let him ride. Y'all brought charges on him. I mean, the Jane Doe made the complaint on him, and then y'all removed him. Y'all paid her, and y'all paid him. So Richie was damn near taking pussy, and y'all reward him with like $400,000. And I heard it's chirps that he got paid more than that, allegedly. I mean, why don't y'all produce the NDA? Or why don't I for you request the insurance company? I'll see if I could for you request the insurance company. Allegedly, I heard that he got a piece of that. So it's possible that Richie Davis got paid over $500,000 for going into the union hall, using the union money to fly his girl around to go get his dick sucked and fuck. Somebody stop me when I'm lying. Somebody stop me when I'm lying. And let me tell you something about these union officers, right? You think Chiarello care if he's being sued? You think Samuelson, Utano, Dennis Engel, you think they give a damn if people sue them? You want to know why they don't care? Because they not held personally responsible. See, in my lawsuit, I'm suing them as individuals too, right? I gotta ask my lawyer the strategy behind that, but we suing them individually too, because they should be held accountable. They should be held fully accountable for their actions. The members should not have to suffer because of these fuck boys. Because you know what? You know what? They sue. The members paying that tab. They not and they don't learn no lesson. This is their version of qualified immunity. That needs to stop. That needs to stop. They need to be held personally accountable. They don't care if they violate the law. You know what? Dennis Engel, go fight it. Dennis Engel making damn near $1 million from the union. I mean, his firm making damn near $1 million from the union a year. A firm where he's a managing partner. Let me put it like that. $1 million a year. Right? And Dennis Engel, I think that he's slick. I can't imagine a lawyer sending a letter to Prudential, going back and forth with my attorney, doing all these letters. Those are billable hours. I'm thinking, right? He ain't gonna work for free. And nobody's intelligent enough up there to say, all right, he's doing too much. He's getting rich. No, why? Because they all getting money. They all getting money, right? They all getting money. They do not care what happens to this union. It's all fake. They know, you know why they stay here after they retire? I mean, because a couple of them is retired, right? It's because they got no life. This is their life. This is the only place that they felt important. In regular life, come on, people walk past them in the street. Nobody's saying, yo, let me take a picture with you. Yo, I love what you. Nobody's saying that. And then they throw the black folks some crumbs. You know, we don't got no voice in this. We don't got no voice. We don't got no voice in this at all. We don't have no voice in this. You would think if they were smart, like, you know what? We got the opportunity. We could work with Trammell. We could we could use him. You know how many times I asked them, yo, you know, y'all should use my platform. Y'all should use my platform. You know what I'm saying? Y'all should you know, when you think that's the smart thing to do? When you think that's the smart thing to do? But these guys, let me move this to the side. These guys don't give a damn about anything but themselves. These folks run the union. Once again, John Chiarello, president. John Samuelson, international president. Tony Utano, president emeritus. Dennis Engel, general counsel. Then when you look at their chief of staff, if you ever been a part of a government situation, chief of staffs have a lot of power. Guess who the chief of staff is? A white woman. Guess who the deputy chief of staff is? A white man. Those are the shot callers of the union. And Samuelson don't work for the union no more. Utano retired. Dennis Engel is a leech. Right? And Chiarello. I need y'all Chiarello. The people who's watching for Chiarello, see, they don't know how deep in this game that I am. They think that this is gonna be funny. But the people who's watching for Chiarello, I'm gonna put them in another seat. First of all, the federal government is watching what's going on here. Let's get that clear, right? And Chiarello, let me say this to you, just to give you a little bit of insight. I want you to say that I'm lying. I want you to say that I'm lying. Right? I want y'all, the people who's watching for Chiarello, I want y'all to ask them this. Did a lawyer say to him, you didn't forget to shout out your white male lawyers? Just ask Chiarello, did that happen? He knows what I'm talking about. He's probably gonna say, oh my God, my phone's tapped. Or he probably gonna think that I ain't gonna, there's people working against him. There's people working against him. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, man. There's people working against him. Chiarello, think about that. Think about that. Did somebody say that to you? Somebody say that to you. But those folks is watching. Those folks are watching. I don't wish death or jail on my worst enemy. You know how they say that. That's bullshit. If you're an enemy of mine, I don't give a fuck if you go to jail. You dudes, y'all sat there, y'all didn't bring forth the charges regarding the Gomez stuff. Dennis Engel, you did not do that. I don't care if you say Richie said not to. From what I understand, that it's not up to the president. Is that right, Eric? Is that right? It's not up to the president, right? Somehow I get my leg broke. This happens to my leg, and no charges is brought forth. This was a very difficult time in my life, right? But they showed their true colors. The union showed their true colors. Listen, and look, this is how I went. I got my leg broke. They set up the game for me to get fired. I knew they was gonna fire me if I would have went to arbitration with that. I ended up taking a deal. 2 months later after that, all these charges dating back 4 years prior, and I end up getting fired for that. Basically, for whistleblowing, right? I basically get terminated for whistleblowing. And they thought I was finished. They thought I was finished. I end up filing a lawsuit. I was allowed to run, not because of anything that they did, because the neutral monitor said that I could run. And they tried to get me out of here so many times, and I'm still here. So this is they plan to do now. I got trial August 21st, right? If anybody would like to support me during that trial, hit me up. I want y'all to come. Maybe we should show a presence at that union hall to show them that you guys, that the members really got my back, right? Maybe we should do that. Or maybe we should have a rally in front of the president house, Chiarello. You know, I'm not playing with these guys anymore. We got to do something, right? We got to do something. I'm gonna tell you what their game is right now, right? So their game is to attempt to, I think they want to remove me for sure. But if they don't remove me, they want to suspend me to put me in bad standing So I won't be able to run for the next election because they know. And I'm going to tell y'all the truth. I had no intentions on running for president of the union. I had no intention. I did not want to run for president of the union. I always went into the ideology that whoever is the vice president of Subways, which is RTO, they are essentially like the mayor of the city. That's how I always viewed it. I never wanted, when I ran for president the first time, I never really wanted to run for that. I did that because my people wanted to run and we needed a slate and I sacrificed myself for them, right? The second time I ran, the union got rid of me. They disqualified me because they control their ecosystem again. And this time they thought I was fired. They didn't know I filed the lawsuit. I beat them at their own game. I got elected. I didn't campaign. I didn't do nothing, right? So once I got elected from day one, from Richie, he wanted to get rid of me. And then it moved on to Chiarello because no matter what, they know that I am a threat, especially now that my voice is amplified all throughout this city, right? I did not want to do this show today. I would rather spend my time fighting the MTA. But guess what, guys? MTA, guess what? I'm going to take a little break from fighting y'all for a minute, right? I'm going to take a little break, right? Y'all, unless y'all do something really, really crazy, I'm going to still hold y'all accountable, but I'm going to focus my attention more on the union. Right? I think that to the members, we got to turn this around. We have to turn this around, right? We can't afford to lose nothing else in the contract. And we can't afford for these guys to be leading us any longer. So with that being said, because I keep hearing rumors that, Trammell is going to be good. If he get let go, I hear their attorneys is telling my attorney, Trammell don't really want to be here. That's bullshit. So I'm going to announce today, because I know that they probably go try to get rid of me and it's all good, right? But I ain't going out without a fight. Today, I'm here to announce that I will be running for president of Local 100 next year. And they could get rid of me. They could do all that. I'm going to file my appeals. I'm going to file my appeals. I'm going to go through the motions or whatever is going on. I'm going to go through those motions. But today I'm letting them know I'm running for president of Local 100. And that's that. We can't allow for them to be in control of anything ever again. They showed us who they are. And I'm also going to use my platform as a bully pulpit. The same way how they use the e-board as a bully pulpit. The same way how they use the Dennis Engel to bring or advance fictitious charges, foolish charges to the trial committee. I'm going to use my platform as a bully pulpit against them. For the people in my department who went against me, I'm going to promise you that you would never get elected again in Local 100. I'm going to create a flyer. It's going to be called the no-fly zone. We going to call it the don't vote zone. It's going to be listed of officers, whether I'm here or not. Because you know what's so funny about this? They thinking that if they get rid of me, I won't have no more influence here. I don't care if I go work at Wendy's. I'm always going to be involved with Local 100 business. I'm always going to fight for you guys. I'm always going to hold the MTA accountable. I'm always going to do that. But more importantly, matter of fact, I ain't even thinking about the MTA right now. I'm going to hold the union accountable. They thinking if they get rid of me that I'm just go poof and Van Moose into thin air. I'm going to be on their ass more. In fact, if they get rid of me, they're going to make Trammell Thompson bigger in this space. they're going to make me bigger in this space. I don't think that they get that. I don't think that they get that. But moving forward, Tremel Thompson is running for president of Local 100 because, the lawyers were saying that, or some of their friends, that, there can't be another white president in the union. That's why they elevated Richie in the first place, right? They had to break it up with a black guy. Then as soon as he went against Samuelson, they removed him, right? But if there's going to be, if y'all, and this is your team saying that they can't be another white president, right? Well, get used to this phase. Get used to this phase. And let me be clear, because I haven't talked about race in a long time. But there's racism. No, I mean, let's not act like that there's no racism. There's racism here. And I don't want to hear, Tramel's playing the race card. No, I'm only playing the cards that was dealt to me, right? We not going for that weak reverse psychology. They're going to see a fight back like they have never seen before. Like they have never seen before. I got friends in high places, all the way from the federal government to with money, with popularity, with platforms. They don't want to see Tremel Thompson lose. And I don't play fair. Y'all ain't play fair with me. Y'all ain't care my leg got broke. Y'all ain't care. And let's think about this. And I'm gonna blame this on Richie for the most part. Richie had this dude Canelo working on the same floor with me. I don't even know what you was thinking, brother. Like, what y'all think? I like what y'all was thinking. You know what I'm saying? You guys was playing in my face this whole time. Y'all was playing in my face this whole time. And I'm not backing down. Right? And y'all don't have, and let me tell you something about how racism works. Somebody don't got to explicitly call you a nigger. I don't like black people. They don't got to say that. They could do certain things. Right? Just look how they operate. Now, I bet you now they go start highlighting black people now. I bet you that much. Because they ain't gonna be able to help themselves. They gotta prove me wrong. They ain't gonna make it whiter. They gonna definitely make it blacker. Right? Another thing is that their time has expired. The truth is the truth. Their time has expired. It's time for them to go. It's over. It's done. It's time for them to retire. This union needs to have younger energy. This union needs, it's on life support right now. For one, the MTA is not afraid of them. Politicians aren't afraid of them. The only people that's afraid of them is the E-board. And I'm going to make sure that the members know exactly what's going on. The members know exactly what's going on. Y'all time is up. And y'all going to see a fight back, a revolution like y'all have never seen before. We could have buried this. This could have been like, we didn't even have to take it here. But to sit back and see you guys fight for horse carriages, then the people who lost their lives during COVID, more than the workers that the MTA is exploiting every day, that's a smack in all of our faces. It's a smack in all of our faces. And it's going to come to an end. I mean, like I said, I don't know what y'all thinking. Y'all think y'all get rid of me, that I'm just going to disappear. No, you just go make my name bigger. You now I'm not go. I ain't gonna have to play by no rules at all. I can speak to members from every other department. You can't marginalize me. You can't sit me down in the office. And there's nothing to talk about. And I can't wait to go to the executive committee meeting because we go turn up there too. I can't wait to go there. I cannot wait. Because now it's on. Oh, hold on. I just remembered. Y'all heard about Trump TPS, temporary protection status, where he got that rolled back and then they started what you call that? Sending, and this is targeted. It had other countries in it, but it was targeted towards like really Haitians, right? So we have immigrants that's in local 100, right? They knew that this Trump TPS thing was coming down. They knew it. We didn't have one meeting about it. It was never brought up. But you know what they was bringing up at these executive committee meetings and these e-board meetings? The immigrants of the horse carriages. And like I said, the immigrants of the horse carriages, most of them are white. So you go fight for those white immigrants over there. Go along, get along, gang. Chiarello, Samuelson, Utano, and Engel. But you ain't go, there was not one mention of Trump TPS coming down and contingency plans and how we going to fight back. Not one rally. You ain't spend no money on no ads. Not one protest. Not calling other unions to see will they be facing that same issue and doing something like marching across the Brooklyn Bridge, stopping traffic, really getting arrested for something. No, because the black immigrants don't mean anything to y'all. Y'all prop black people up in this union under this administration when it's beneficial to you. Any other time, black, like I said, there's no black decision makers here. These guys right here that you see on the screen, and then you got Deirdre Fierick, the chief of staff, the first woman chief of staff. You got Eric Logel. And then arguably, you also got Arthur Swartz. Not one black person has true power in this union. Chiarello, why is that? You the president now. Why is that? Why is that? How come I don't got the power to release who I want to release? How come I don't got the power to pick who I want for the safety walks? And let me tell y'all something about the like Chiarello said in that awful contract update. That awful contract update. Now I'm not gonna get too much into details, right, regarding the contract, right? No other VP has got nothing in their department with the MTA. Not one VP. Not one. Not one VP. Guess what VP got something for their department during the departmental negotiations? Ask any one of my officers. Ask anyone. And then you know what Chiarello did? John Chiarello did? See, they play a wicked game. They act like that, like it's like the guys that be waiting outside the schools with the kids with candy that you always hear about. Like, don't be accepting no, don't go to no people cars that's offering you candy. Let me tell you what they did to me. In the beginning of my term, they gave me my own attorney, right? Stu and Lou, right? Yo, Tramel, we want to look out for you. We want to give you your own attorney. I'm like, yo, why you want to give me my own attorney? Like, you got all these attorneys here. Give us an attorney who actually know what they doing. Nah, just give them a try. They gave us some attorneys that didn't know how this operation works, right? They was brand new attorneys, older attorneys, and they didn't know what they was doing here. So I'm not stupid. Chiarello was acting like he cared and like, we gonna give you these attorneys. Now, it was frustrating at first dealing with them, but then we turned it around together, right? We turned it around together. We was winning cases. Nobody got fired for nothing operational that was in question. Now, if you was on your phone and self-inflicted wounds, ain't nothing that we could do about that. Nobody, Jesus could come and not save your job, right? We had the least amount of terminations in arbitration, the lowest ever in RTO last year, right? With these attorneys, right? We go into negotiations with these attorneys. We the only department that got anything at the main table. The only department, right? Everybody else is struggling, this and that. Now we made leeway at the main table. Guess what Chiarello did? Chiarello removed the lawyers that he gave us, because I guess they was helping me too much, and gave us Arthur Swartz. Why would you do that? Do it look like we need Arthur Swartz? We actually did good in our department. Now, I'm not going to say what we got, but we are the only department that got leeway during our departmentals. In fact, the MTA has not even been harsh on my department when it comes to discipline, right? I did something no other VP has done. I'm not going to say what I did because certain people get mad and they start rolling back things, but they did some things, right? The MTA is not messing with my, people doing bonehead stuff. All right, we get that, but they not targeting my department. You know who they targeting? They targeting everybody else. This is a fact. They targeting everybody else. Why? Because Tremel Thompson has a mechanism to make the MTA respect what's going on here. I have a mechanism to make the MTA respect what's going on here. And they afraid to go on that screen, this screen right here, that the Go Along, Get Along gang is on. You understand? So not only do they want to marginalize me, but they were setting me up for failure and trying to disguise it as help. That's exactly what they was doing. That's exactly what they was doing. Chiarello, why did you take Lou and Stu off of negotiations? They was doing a marvelous job. Matter of fact, Arthur was negotiating with Kelly, right? Did he do a marvelous job over there? But this is the way that they set me up to try to make me a failure, right? They don't got no mechanism to hold the MTA accountable. I do, right? And even the MTA bosses was like, Tremel, we don't see eye to eye. But you right. Why is your union attacking you in the middle of a contract? They should be using you against us. This is high-level management saying this. And it boggles my mind. Why is the union bringing charges against me in the middle of a contract when we all should be focused on fighting the MTA? Something to think about. Like I said, this is part 1. And trust me, part 2 is going to be 10 times more crazier than this. I promise you. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you ain't a subscriber on YouTube, subscribe to this channel. Share this video out. I'm going to be doing reels, little reels on Instagram, putting it out there, talking about my leg getting broke, talking about everything that they was doing. I'm not being complicit in trying to make things work with them no more. I'm not doing that. They have failed to do the right thing on every degree. I mean, I've suffered my livelihood with this. I've suffered physically. My leg got broken. I'm suffering mentally. I refuse to be their punching bag no more. They worse than management, if you ask me. They worse than the MTA. These guys, they are the epitome of a yellow union. The epitome of a yellow union. And you know, I haven't talked about them for a year and a half. Do you imagine how much stuff do I have to say? But these guys are accountable for everything that's happening here bad to this union. We have been on a total decline since Stand United, John Samuelson has taken over. And we in decline right now. In fact, we are at our lowest point up under John Chiarello. And like I said, it's funny because I actually like John until I really seen his real character. And we can't make them feel comfortable when they come around. They talking about, listen, all your VPs, right? Or Donald Yates is no good. What's that dude that was happy that guy what's that dude was it Seattle, Washington, where that dude shot up those people during the George Floyd riots? Scott Weinfeld, that's his name? No, not Scott Weinfeld. Forget what his name is. The dude that brought charges on me that work up there, maintenance of Riga. He getting a digital truck to his house too. I'm not even playing. Matter of fact, I may make him I may start it off with him and then go to Ingalls since they all in Long Island. You know what I mean? But these guys are no good. You shouldn't even let them feel comfortable. They have sold you out, right? And we can't allow this any longer. We can't allow them to play these games. And to the E-board, I'm very disappointed in y'all, but I understand. You know, it's hard to be strong. It's hard to be a Tremel Thompson. You know, a lot of y'all not built like that. I get it. But like I said, y'all control that in there because I know how they operate. Chiarello came to me and say, you know, we got these charges on JP when they was removing JP, you know, trying to solicit my vote. So I know if he's doing it to me, he gotta be doing it to y'all. Oh, and Robert Kelly, Vice President of Stations. Brother, they want to get rid of you. They want to get rid of you, brother. They have no plans for you next election. They have zero plans for you next election. And if you don't believe me, ask Drummond or ask Burke. They have no plans for you next election. That came out of the horse's mouth. So all of that shucking and jiving that you be doing for them sometime, if you really on your bro stuff, you better get on your bro stuff because they 86 in you next election. You and Nicolette. Y'all got no space in their program. Now they'll probably keep you to try to prove me wrong, but they already said it. I'm just letting you know now. You know what I mean? I'm just letting you know now. I know you buddy with them and you be kissing their ass sometime. They don't fuck with you, bro. So, you know, you take that information as you wish. I have no reason to lie to you. I have no, and it was said in front of other people. And if you ask them, they'll keep it 100. You know what I mean? They'll keep it 100. But they have no plans for you next election. So figure out something to do. You know what I mean? I don't hate them saying that about nobody else. But they got no plans for you, brother. Figure it out. Oh, this executive committee meeting is going to be spicy. I'm going to be the first in the room. I want to see. I want to just sit there. But look, if y'all want to support me for my union trial, hit me up. I'm going to give y'all all the details. And if y'all, listen, I stood up for y'all for a long time. Now it's time for y'all to return the favor Get down to lay down, 10 toes down. We don't bend, no break. We don't shiver, we don't shake. We're going to be victorious. We're going to be victorious. It's already written. It's already written. With that being said, it's been real. This is part 1. Part 2 is probably coming next. Probably part 2 a couple of days before the trial, because I got some stuff for them, baby. I got some stuff for them. Like, share, subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.